welcome back to the channel. And today we're talking shop truck. Ah, that's hot. We're talking shop truck today because, well, everybody wants a walk around of this thing, a full YouTube walk around. And I don't know, we finished this in 2020 and I'm not positive if we ever did like a full walk around and talk about every little function feature on the truck and how we did it. So let's do it. All right, guys, this is how the truck started out. This is how we found this truck on Facebook Marketplace down in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where it had been sitting just like that for 20 years. We picked this up in June of 2020 and we had it at car shows in October of 2020. So it hasn't been around all that long, and it looks like we didn't change much on it, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes to get this thing where it is today. But here we are, it's October of 2023, so technically 3 years on the road now, and she's still going strong, and people have loved this truck. We've got this truck at car shows. It's got a lot of attention. Let me get it started. We'll pull it out, and I can get it out in the open. We can walk around and talk about some of the stuff we've done. All right, she's been sitting here a little while. Oh no. Come on, really? All right, let me get the boost. Well, our booster's at 50%, so this ought to go well. All right, take two. Oh, all right, that's way better this time. Usually she starts right up, but this thing doesn't like to sit either, so let's get this thing unhooked from the booster and talk about it. All right, so the engine's a Good Wrench 350. That is the engine that was in it when I dug it out of the side of that barn there. So clearly, somewhere along the way, it was changed, but it's been sitting there 20 years, unknown mileage, anything. We got it running, obviously completely serviced it, put a set of headers on it, dual exhaust, a couple of Flowmaster mufflers. Sounds real good, nothing crazy, but it runs good. Now, let's talk about everything else. So clearly, behind the scenes, we had to do, I mean, everything from cab corners, if I can dig up some pictures, I'll post them here, to rockers, to floor panels, complete radiator support, cab mounts, pretty much everything, as well as a little frame repair. We found the bed for it, so everything. This thing literally had to come all apart and then go back together and still look old. So, like I said, a lot going on behind the scenes. The headlights were converted over to LED, and we just fogged the two of them in the yellow, because I like that look. I do it on all our trucks. Actually, you know what? Let me shut this bad boy off. Okay, clearly we had to put a radiator in it because ours fell apart completely. That's actually held in with a couple of old barn door hinges that we repainted. Then we go down to the line lock. Now, typically your line lock is hooked up where you push the switch, it locks your front tires. They stay locked completely until you push the switch again. I believe anyway, I can't remember specifically. But the way we plumb this, thing, ours basically cuts out the rear brakes while you're holding the switch down. Therefore, this thing is a burnout machine. I can just literally at any time I can hit the switch, put my foot on the brake, the front brakes will activate, like pulling up to a stoplight, whatever, so you're still holding that switch down, and you go ahead and throttle it up, and you've got no rear brakes. You can do burnouts for days in this thing, and there's plenty of videos of this thing doing just that with this little Good Wrench 350. So that's a cool little feature and function. They're not copper lines like they might look like. They're a nickel copper brake line, so they're a standard brake line. There's nothing crazy about them or anything like that. Of course, we had to have our no speed limit 55 here. That's gotta be. Bent valve from a lawnmower engine we turned into like a wing nut to hold the air cleaner on. Jack Daniels, as you can see, is the theme here. Everything from breathers to handkerchiefs to overflow bottles. There's some Jack Daniels theme here in this all over the place. It'd be really cool if they sponsored it, but I don't see that happening. Heater hose pipes. My God, has this been a conversation piece. Some people, everybody seems to think these things are rigid mounted, they're not going to flex and they're going to break. Contrary to what they say and believe, and I've done videos of this, they're rubber mounted on both ends. rigid in the middle with a couple of shut-off valves on it, which personally has actually worked out because we lost our heater core and I was able to just shut the valves off, get in there and change it and not lose any fluid. So that was awesome. But we just sweat some copper pipe, polished it up, and then clear coated it with the shut-off valves, and that has been a conversation piece big time. And actually, since this has been done, we've actually had a lot of people tag us because they've done it to theirs, and that's cool because that's the way it goes. You're out here on social media, you're going to show your stuff, other people are going to do it. That is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, overflow bottles, Jack Daniels, both of them. We made the complete bracket assembly. I have an old piece of angle iron, a gear out of a four-wheeler, some bent twisted copper wire, a couple wrenches, and of course our main license plate down here, along with other license plates that you'll see along here, there, and everywhere, patching spots on this truck. But one is for the coolant and one is for the windshield washer fluid. Now, there's no pump in this thing. This is just an overflow, just like the radiator, except our windshield washer pump is over here and it pumps from this. So it's a little different setup than some people might have. So that's how it works. The overflow works standard. It's just an overflow out of your radiator. This is loose enough to allow air and not create a vacuum. Yes, these are glass. They're sitting in rubber. They're held tight. They don't move. Never lost one. They've been in there 3 years now. That's another comment we get a lot. That'll never hold the heat. It's never going to last. Well, 3 years, it's been fine. Right, on to the ground strap. The very first time I drove this to a Cars and Coffee event, all I had was this on for a ground. And, well, I had a few grounding issues. It would ground intermittently from the links through the links here, even though they were welded. I was still getting some ground issues here and there. It looks cool as hell. So then we went on and I just stripped up some copper wire and added a secondary ground, complete with vice grips built right into it because, well, why not? And now we've never had a problem since then, and it adds character to it. It actually looks real cool as well. The body of the truck is patina. It actually, up here in Maine, to get this look, this patina, it's pretty unheard of. That is untouched. We did nothing to this besides seal it with Poppy's patina. We used them on a lot of our builds. My wife and my son hand lettered the doors. That was super cool of them. And again, this was our business was built around this truck. This is where everything like really started taking off for us. So body wise, we were able to save all the panels with exception to the rockers down there, and then we just kind of primed them and weathered those as well to kind of fit that theme and kind of work it in. Now, license plates. You notice the license plates in the corners. We made license plate cab corners, and these things have been cool, and another conversation piece, as well as some patches here and there in the truck itself where there was rot holes. Super cool. It's just something to talk about. People like to look around these things and just see different talking points. Something else we added this year was the visor, the sawtooth visor. It's not an actual saw blade, but it looks certainly like one. My buddy over at Maine Off-Road cut that out for us. And then we added some old brackets for the supports and a piece of a saw blade on that as well. Right, fuel tank. Basically, it's an old Anheuser-Busch stainless steel tank. So basically, I just bought a bung with a filler cap on here, a brass. I've also got my vent, which is nothing more than I welded this cap on here, put the fitting, bent over, and it vents to the atmosphere right there. And then that's our return. And then our siphon is directly on the bottom of the tank right there. Runs up to the front of the truck as well. And then as far as it being bracketed, we got a couple of bent wrenches here. These are metal straps underneath these leather belts that go back to this that we made. And then the fuel gauge is just that. It's a sight glass. I don't know if you guys can see that, but she's pretty low on fuel. So that's our fuel tank. Made that from this old keg that we got off of Marketplace for like 20 bucks. And actually, I want to mention that too. I bought this whole truck off Marketplace for 100 bucks. So can't go wrong there. All right, we sourced the wheels off Marketplace. They were silver off another C10. The guy was running them on his truck. We went with like a creamy white color, and now they're starting to patina because I didn't go overboard and I wanted them to start patina through. The tires are the tires that came on the rims when we got them. Clearly, we are way overdue for tires, and in the spring, we're going to be doing something different with the tires. Let's talk about the wood bed. All right, so again, we found the wood bed without the sides on Marketplace. It was on a 68 C10. We went ahead and added the sides. So my neighbor has a sawmill and milled us up some oak boards. Then I went ahead and linseed oiled these boards. So what happens to the boiled linseed oil on wood over time, as dust and everything and the sun hits it, it starts to turn black, and it ended up being a really cool color. I dig that a lot. It's the same thing we used on the bed. It's actually due for another coat. The wood deck on the bed, the flatbed itself was all wired up for the lights, so it was pretty easy. And then the mounting of it, we had to come up with a couple of our own mounts there on the frame, so it wasn't too hard to do the bed on this truck, and it works with the theme. Now the wrecker boom. We added this wrecker boom because I was like, wait, no, we were getting put in the special interest class, and we were kind of more like a truck and kind of like a rat rod. It didn't really fit a category. It was all really hard when you bring this thing to shows to get this thing to fit into a category. So we might as well make it a wrecker or something, and so they're gonna stick us in special interest. There you go. My buddy Mario over at Champion Auto hooked us up with an old antique wrecker boom. It's clearly older than the truck, but it worked really well with the theme of the truck. No, it doesn't work, and there's usually a cooler here that my buddy Rick Pierce had pinstriped for us, but it doesn't take the rain too well, so I take it out for this time of year. We wrapped it in some barbed wire, added a beat up old license plate that was kind of period correct for the truck and stuff. Some lights. These ones up here don't work, they're just for show. We got some old, I guess you'd call them like bony hands from the Syracuse Nationals when we were out there, and I welded those up on there. And again, we carry that Jack Daniels bottle and an old Coke can to continue the theme. Now, does this attract attention on the street? It does, cops included. I'm gonna say that as well. I'll just leave that right there. But anyway, the hook on this thing is clearly way overboard. It's an old Crosby hook on a crane. That as well I got from Mario over at Champion Auto. It is freaking huge, but it's cool. It's rad. It kind of like tow mater. All right, the bumper was an old chunk of rust sawn lumber, oak again, and I got that from my neighbor. I went ahead and built a angle iron frame for it, added a step, a horseshoe, and continued along with a little spider web in the corner there to add a little flair to it. Down the side here, we carried another saw blade. This comes from my grandfather, actually. So it's cool, and he's not with us anymore, to be able to have that as well. And now that I got a new plasma cutter, we might actually put our name right into this and burn it right into that. As we come along this side of the truck, you're going to continue to see more license plates there. And underneath the truck, nothing special. We did coat the frame. It's all been oil undercoated. Got a couple of mufflers sitting down there. And I lowered the back 2 inches to kind of level this thing out, and then we cut the front coil. So this thing's been dropped about 2 inches overall. Nothing crazy. It's a driver. It drives awesome. All right, let's go inside. So door handles, one of my beer caps have actually fallen off, but just some leather straps. We burned some wood off an old wagon and kind of inserted them in here. It fit beautifully. Behind the door, the window cranks, we got some more beer can theme going. One of our sponsors, Weir's GMC. For our other builds, we got a couple of old mud flaps on there as floor mats. The original seat, everything in here, like that's the original carpet. Granted, we had this all out and rebuilt all this to get it to where it is now. Tack, Jack Daniels bottle. We got an old rebar shifter in here we made, extend ours, just cool, it's out there. We sticker bombed the roof. And of course, this looks like a shifter. It'd be cool as hell if it is, but or if it was, but it's an automatic. So this is actually a cup holder. So you can put your favorite beverage right here, one on each side. It's an old, I don't even know what it is. It come out of an old tractor. So there's that, and it's just cool. And again, beer tap. Same thing over there. We got our fire extinguisher. The truck is kind of a mess. This is like our car show stand. Some old engine parts and stuff like that. We go to car shows. Car show season's over now. We got more gauges, and if you see here, there, and everywhere, we got some pinstripe going on. So that was my buddy Rick Pierce over at Stitches. He took care of us on the pinstriping like he does on many of our builds. And here, there, and everywhere on this truck, well, you're gonna find rubber. Piles and piles of rubber. Because at the end of the day, this thing is fun to drive. It was built to drive. It was built to have fun in. It was built to bring the shows and to be a conversation piece for people, and it has done just that. We brought it to a lot of shows. Not so much this year. We've been too busy in the shop, but it's taken home quite a few trophies, and it's been fun. It's been a blast to be able to bring this to show and just talk about it, and people are like, oh my God, like, where do you come up with this? And I'm just like, oh, it's in here someplace. It's in there. I don't know. And honestly, this truck is a great cruiser. It's fun to cruise around in. It rides good. It's smooth going down the road. And we're taking it for a cruise right now, probably last one of the season. So we're just enjoying the nice weather. My boy Caleb, this is actually his first time driving it on a permit. So it's awesome. All right, so he asked me to adjust the mirror for him, and then I didn't want to touch the mirror because that's why. So now we got to reattach a mirror. Hey, everything's old in this thing, man. It's not like these new vehicles, man. It's better. Now we also do a lot of metal art and crazy metal art stuff and little figures and stuff like that. So this kind of carries that theme as well, because when we go to a show, we'll set up and put some of that stuff around the truck as well. All right, so I think that's going to bring us the end of the walk around of our shop truck. Again, this is our 83 C1500 truck that we picked up on Marketplace for $100. Brought it back to life. It's been fun. It's gotten a lot of attention. Look around on social media. It's out there. I hope I covered the basis on some of the stuff we've done on it. If you guys want to see more details or anything else on the truck, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see next on our next build and some of our other builds. Follow them. They're all on the channel. Take care, guys. Scott, Flippin' Customized.